It's 3:26 in the morning Pacific Standard Time. It's July 18th, 2023. Dear Professor John Vento. Hello, Professor. It's been a while since we've had a class. A long time ago. I learned a lot in your class concerning about politics, more than what I had absorbed over the last most of my life. Public education back in the 80s only gave me bare basics. That's all they were giving out is bare basics concerning about how our government system works, but I didn't pay much attention to that, unfortunately. Even when I took another political class in college right afterwards, I didn't do much because I wasn't mature enough and I wasn't ready to understand what was going on. And I saw almost politics happening, world changing, history displayed before my eyes and how things are trying to become relevant. As we get older, we're seeing more and more of the connections, Professor. And I tell you, sometimes the patterns scare the living daylights out of me. We had joked in the Political 101 class that we didn't think Donald Trump was going to be president. I was royally mistaken. But I didn't understand what I've been trying to understand more of these days. Professor, it's time and perspective and maturity that gives me a bit of clarity of how things are being connected and how things are being treated and how everything else is relevant. Studying history and political science is the left and the right, but we need both of them to get the hands clasped, understand what's going on. I'm scared. I'm 57 years old and I'm scared. It's not knowledge, it's seeing ignorance at work, not my own. The one thing we hadn't talked about in the political science classes, at least we didn't see the relevance, or probably there wasn't relevance, but there should have been, is how a cult can influence democracy. And we're seeing that right now. You probably already talked about it in your classes since I left. I've been doing my own videos on YouTube, mostly for my own emotional stability, and also trying to get some political clarity, if I should say that. And by the way, Putin is a fascist. He doesn't have a legitimate democracy. He has the one ring, rules them all. But the one thing I'm not seeing is democracy setting into his country at all. He's got the facade of democracy, Professor. Wasn't Plato trying to tell us something in the art of politics? How easily corruptible democracy is? Wasn't he the one that kept claiming that democracy was one of the weakest governments and authoritative was the strongest one because authoritative didn't allow any differences? It was still the one part and one rule. The reason why I kept reading books and seeing movies, because somehow in my head the idea and idealism and the ideology that our creators had put into their theatrical works one way or another are also trying to teach us something there, Professor. We all have different points of view. You ever seen a crystal pyramid before? Science experiment? Shine a white light through it. How many colors came out of it? Our own viewpoints, our own perspectives of the same truth. Our own realizations. And sometimes the truth scares the hell out of us. It scares the hell out of me sometimes. I don't think anybody else is realizing this. I mean, they could just see the emblem of Pink Floyd. Surely you would understand that one. Dark Side of the Moon. Nice crystal with a rainbow coming out of it. I'm trying to find and I'm trying to articulate this in a way that hopefully even I can understand and try to relate it to you, that I should have had my major changed to political science, but I still love English. I still love literature because I still think the authors of the past will teach us something that we're failing to learn about. More than just the books that you were referring to in our classes. Economy of the Hitman. Ring a bell. You know, some of these academias who keep putting themselves on the camera all the time for media, getting their words across, getting their discussions across. I think they haven't read enough books in their lifetime. I hope, Professor, that your teachings will still inspire me more and more. They say, well, there was an expression somewhere in the Bible, he who increases knowledge increases sorrow. I'm wondering, Professor, are we still waking up in the middle of the night crying our eyeballs out because we know too much? Or figured out something else that really scares the living crap out of us? Have we lost any sleep over it? It's not the losing sleep portion of it. I'm used to it. You try having sleep apnea, insomnia, and narcolepsy at the same time. I'm surprised I didn't fall asleep in your classes, but there's always a reason for those. I could tell you about it a little bit later on in another video on it. I just wanted to get my fears out regarding how the next election cycle is going to be. It's not that if we're going to be surviving a third war or a civil war that we're having right now. Professor, we are having a civil war, regardless if we acknowledge it or not. More among ideas and idealism. I'm seeing our country going through a lot of mutations, and it's a hell of a long stretching period that it's doing right now, trying to get the kinks out of it. But we're dealing with the likes of Trump and occultism that he's already developed already. He's worse than David Koresh and Jim Jones. Come on, we both chewed the same dirt on this one. We both grew up listening and learning about those two gentlemen. I'm sorry. There's a lot of stronger words I could use for those unfortunates. We've got the Trumpism going on right now. I'm going to throw up another one for you, and I don't know if you were actually a science fiction fanatic or not. Here's one. Buck Rogers in the 25th century with the Gil Gerard in it. Jack Palance, in one particular episode, played a charismatic cult leader called Khalil. If you've seen it, then you know what this means. And the hands would be glowing at the time, and he's about to touch someone and they die. He's using the power of his persuasion on the poor, unfortunate soul to kill him. His fear killed him. It kind of reminds me of what's going on right now. It's a metaphor for this, of what's going on right now. I'm not quite sure how we're going to be able to deal with it if we actually see Trump doing that one in office. I'd never seen our government in so much disarray. 2016 through 2020 was a lot of it. 2017 through 19, I think, is when we had the pure Republican Party being converted into the Trumplicans during that time, into the land of the maggots. And for the first 2 years, Professor, did anything good came out of it when Trump got in office? I'm not trying to say if Democrats would have been the better choice. They probably would have, but given how the voters voted on this one, given how the electors decided, there's still the question whether or not if the electoral college system is still fundamental instead of the popular vote. If we still had the popular vote, Hillary Clinton would have been in office and we wouldn't have had this. But there's no guarantee that we would still have a Democratic-controlled House of Representatives. As it turned out, we had Republican-controlled. And we didn't have the Freedom Caucus during that time, but we had the elements forming on that. It reminds me of a thunderstorm building up in intensity and ready to strike. We were fortunate enough that when the midterms came, we had the Democrats to control the House and the Republicans still controlled the Senate, so still nothing happened. And then the 2020 came, and then Trump lost. And everybody else went insane. And after the midterms, now everybody else is still going insane. We still have check and balance in Congress right now. Barely, but we still have it. We have an executive branch that is still Democratic and struggling. And what scares the hell out of me is the current news that had been coming out of the theoretical GOP. To me, they're all maggots. They're all converts. They just don't even know it. And that the GOP threatens to turn us into Hungary, or worse, Venezuela. Or better yet, North Korea. Our beloved Constitution, Professor, is going to be going into the shredder because the American voters who turned into cultists, if they happen to get the larger hand with the Electoral College, say goodbye to everything else that you've been teaching. Everything that we held true to being an American. I wouldn't even know in our country or democracy. I wouldn't know it anymore once fascism gets in there. The reason why, Professor, we study history alongside political science because we need the checks and balances there. We need historical data. We need to know how this affects politics, and we have to know how the politics affects history. And we have to educate. I'm still struggling, and I'm still going back to school to complete the AA. It's been taking this long, sir, because past several years it's been harder and harder. Not because of the aging process, sir, but when you start losing family. You notice the picture in the background. It changes things. My mother hounded me when I was a young kid for not going through college and completing it, but getting kicked out. I chewed on my carcass for about 30 years, working my butt off. She passed in 2013 and made a promise to her. If I was going to go back into college, I was going to do it for her. And then I was doing it for myself. I lost a big brother back in 2018. Two pillars of strength that I depended upon in my life. And I'm still going back. I'm doing it for them, but I'm doing it for myself now. I hope I qualify to do the BA. I'm about a year or less before I graduate, I hope. I'm waiting for it. I want the AA first in English, but then I'll chase the political science afterwards. If they allow me to do a minor, I'll do history as well. I hope, Professor, that in my future endeavors, as long as I'm still alive and breathing right now, I honor you as well, sir. There are several professors at the campus that I have a place in my heart for. That meant a great deal to me. You're one of them. You taught me a lot. You helped me to see things. And I'm grateful for it. And Putin is not an official president, and he's not democratically elected. I don't care how we differ on this one here. He's still a dictator. And he wants his power back. Ukraine and Crimea are showing this. And the orange gas bag number 45 is still teaching that fascism is still alive and strong. You want the proof? Look at Florida. You look at Alabama, Georgia, Tennessee, Arkansas, Iowa. Yeah, I've been keeping track. What was it they're reporting about? Oh, about 16, 17 AGs who want to pursue people across states because of medical records needed for procedures done, and they want to hold it against those who escape their states. We got a lot of hot button topics out there, Professor. I just hope your future students or your current class is up to the challenge. I wish I could be retaking your classes. enjoy a good argument. I'll see you on campus, Professor. John Cameron Weaver from Roseman, California, signing off.